Welcome to Speaking History. Today, we dive deep into a compelling yet controversial chapter of our shared past. Have you ever wondered about the stories that shaped our understanding of history? Stories that blur the line between fact and fiction? In this episode of The True History, we unravel the myths surrounding Muhammad bin Qasim's conquest of Sindh, exploring how history has been rewritten to suit narratives and ideologies. Let's challenge what we've been told and seek the truth behind the legends. It is widely believed that Pakistan came into existence in 1947. However, the state narrative offers a drastically different perspective. According to this narrative, the foundation of Pakistan was laid much earlier, in 712 CE, when Muhammad bin Qasim arrived in Sindh. It is claimed that his conquest marked the true beginning of Pakistan, with the centuries that followed seen merely as a waiting period to fulfill this destiny. This narrative, taught in schools for decades, positioned Muhammad bin Qasim as the first citizen of Pakistan. Millions of students grew up absorbing this romanticized version of history, especially during General Zia-ul-Haq's regime. Under Zia's rule, the narrative was reinforced and amplified, evolving from a mild version of ideological conditioning into an overwhelming dose of propaganda. Like turning a simple pill into a giant capsule, the state encouraged citizens to consume it unquestioningly, shaping their identity while sidelining any dissenting voices. As part of this project, regional languages, cultures, and identities were systematically erased. The state dictated when the so-called Pakistan movement began, who its key figures were, and even defined heroes and villains. The result? Those who invaded, plundered, and imposed their rule were glorified as saviors, while those who resisted to protect their land and heritage were vilified. This deep-seated narrative continues to influence behavior in Pakistan today. A peculiar pattern can be observed. Invaders from distant lands are celebrated with reverence, while local issues and injustices are met with indifference. If a battle is won thousands of miles away, it's treated as a monumental achievement, yet the struggles and victories of local communities are often ignored or dismissed. The glorification of invaders stems largely from fictionalized history, romanticized by authors like Nasim Hijazi. These stories transformed history into ideology, blurring the lines between fact and fiction. To this day, an emotionally charged and highly distorted version of history clouds the collective consciousness, leaving little room for critical thinking. The case of Muhammad bin Qasim is a prime example. Historians have long debated the authenticity of the popular narrative surrounding his conquest. Was Raja Dahir justified in his resistance, or was Muhammad bin Qasim's invasion a righteous cause? Did a 17-year-old truly ride to Sindh to rescue a girl in distress, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? The origins of this narrative trace back to a single historical record, a book called Chachnamah, also known as the Book of Conquest. This text, considered the primary source of information about the Muslim conquest of Sindh, was written in 1216, 5 centuries after the events of 712 CE. Such a significant gap raises questions about its reliability, as much of its content likely stems from oral traditions passed down over generations. Chachnama was authored by Ali bin Muhammad Kufi, a scholar from Uch Sharif in Punjab. He visited Qazi Ismail bin Ali, a member of the Saqafi tribe, the same tribe as Muhammad bin Qasim. Qazi Ismail provided him with an Arabic manuscript, which Kufi translated into Persian, renaming it Chachnamah. However, the book fails to cite a single named historian, relying instead on vague references to various Umayyad caliphs and events. To illustrate the potential bias, imagine if someone today wrote the history of the 1971 war based solely on the account of a soldier stationed in East Pakistan, claiming there was no surrender and dismissing it all as a Hindu conspiracy. Such a narrative would clearly reflect the writer's bias rather than historical accuracy. Thus, it becomes imperative to critically examine the claims made in Chachnama and evaluate its authenticity. Let's delve deeper into this narrative and uncover the truths hidden beneath centuries of myth-making. The Chachnama recounts the internal power struggles within the Umayyad Caliphate, detailing the appointments of governors and the events that led to Muhammad bin Qasim's expedition to Sindh. According to the text, Hajjaj bin Yusuf, a powerful governor in Iraq, sent his 17-year-old son-in-law, Muhammad bin Qasim, to conquer Sindh. This familial connection is said to be the reason Hajjaj entrusted him with the mission. The narrative begins with the campaign's origins, proceeds through Kank, and culminates in Multan, where the story of Muhammad bin Qasim takes its dramatic end. However, when we scrutinize the details, the story often shared combines fragments of historical accounts with embellishments of romance and fiction. A popular version claims that a king in Sri Lanka, who was Arab, encountered a tragedy that involved his people. To honor the Arabs, the king sent his wives on ships loaded with gifts. As these ships passed near Debal, modern-day Karachi, pirates attacked, looting the goods, capturing the women and children, and seizing wealth. Hajjaj bin Yusuf allegedly sent a message to Raja Dahir, the ruler of Sindh, demanding the safe return of the women and children. Raja Dahir reportedly replied that the pirates operated outside his jurisdiction, leaving him powerless to intervene. Enraged, Hajjaj dispatched Muhammad bin Qasim to Sindh. This romanticized tale often focuses on a woman whose cry for help supposedly moved Hajjaj to act. However, historical evidence for such an event is non-existent. Furthermore, this was not the first expedition sent by Hajjaj to Sindh. Two earlier attempts had already failed, both under similar pretexts. It is also worth noting that Muhammad bin Qasim's invasion occurred in 711 CE, yet Muslim expeditions toward the Indian subcontinent began much earlier, in 637 CE, during the caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab. How, then, can the conquest of Sindh be attributed solely to this incident? The lack of evidence for such a dramatic story suggests a fabricated narrative designed to romanticize history. More likely, economic factors were at the root of these actions. During Raja Dahir's rule, the Muslim Empire had already established a foothold in Makran, Balochistan. Pirates and unsafe trade routes disrupted the flow of goods like spices and medicines from India to Central Asia and the Middle East, posing significant challenges to Arab commerce. Thus, economic motives, ensuring secure trade routes and access to wealth, were far more plausible drivers of the campaign than the purported rescue of a single woman. Moreover, portraying Hajjaj bin Yusuf as a merciful leader who mobilized armies to defend a woman's honor is entirely inconsistent with historical accounts. Hajjaj is widely documented as a ruthless figure, responsible for suppressing uprisings and enacting brutal policies. He was also closely associated with those who played a role in the deaths of the Prophet Muhammad's family members. Claims of his mercy lack credible historical backing. This fictionalized narrative also ignores Raja Dahir's role in offering refuge to persecuted Arab families fleeing Hajjaj's oppressive regime. Many groups, including the Shia and Parsis, challenge the validity of the story and highlight how Dahir provided shelter to Zoroastrians and others seeking safety in Sindh. This act of pluralism is often misrepresented or entirely erased in state-sanctioned narratives. Another myth surrounding Muhammad bin Qasim is his alleged age. Contrary to popular belief, there is no definitive evidence he was 17 years old. Historical records suggest he was more likely 27 or 28, with conflicting accounts about his military experience. After the conquest, later records such as Futu al-Buldan offer additional insights into these events, though their accounts are often vague. Despite the lack of clarity in primary sources, the state narrative persists. For instance, a 1979 Class 6 textbook from Zia-ul-Haq's era, boldly claims that Muhammad bin Qasim laid the foundation for Pakistan, directly linking his conquest to the country's modern identity. By romanticizing and distorting history, these narratives have shaped how generations perceive the past. To uncover the truth, it is essential to separate historical facts from ideological fiction. Muhammad bin Qasim began his campaign by capturing the port of Dabal near modern-day Karachi and pushing forward. At Aurora, Raja Dahir's army stood to defend their land and way of life. Despite their resistance, Dahir was defeated and beheaded, his severed head sent as a trophy to Iraq. Alongside this gruesome display, Dahir's female relatives, treasures, and looted wealth, including jewels and goods from destroyed temples, were also dispatched. The campaign expanded further into regions like Brahmanabad, Aurora, and Multan. Ironically, the local Buddhist community allied with Qasim, not out of loyalty but due to long-standing resentment toward Dahir's lineage. This animosity had roots in the overthrow of the Buddhist Rai dynasty by Dahir's father, Chach, which left the Buddhist population impoverished and bitter, compelling them to side with Qasim's forces. At Dabal, after an initial surrender, Qasim reportedly ordered a brutal 3-day massacre. This event is documented by historians like Manan Ahmed Asif and Mubarak Ali, whose works explore the darker facets of this conquest. These accounts are further supported by sources like Tahzib al-Tahzib and prominent Sindhi nationalist G.M. Syed, who challenge the glorified narratives of Qasim's actions. The end of Qasim's life was as dramatic as his conquests. Accounts from the Chachnama and Futu al-Buldan offer differing versions of his fate. According to the Chachnama, Dahir's daughters, sent to Hajjaj bin Yusuf and later to Caliph Walid bin Abdul Malik, accused Qasim of dishonoring them. Enraged by this claim, the Caliph ordered his execution. One version describes Qasim being tortured to death in prison, while another recounts his body being sewn into a leather sack and transported to Baghdad, where he died en route. Regardless of the exact details, the ruler he served turned against him within a year of his triumph in Sindh. Modern retellings often celebrate Qasim as the first Pakistani, a title rooted in nationalistic agendas rather than historical facts. This narrative obscures the nuanced reality of his campaign and its impact. Historians point out that Muslim scholars of the time, such as Muhammad Qasim Firishta and Mir Masum, exaggerated and glorified Qasim's actions while demonizing Raja Dahir as a tyrant. They painted Dahir's rule as one of chaos and oppression to justify Qasim's invasion, portraying him as a savior of Sindh. This savior complex parallels later imperialist narratives. When the British East India Company arrived, they used similar rhetoric, branding the Muslim rulers as barbaric and positioning themselves as liberators of India. The same justification persists in modern conflicts, as seen in the U.S. invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan under the guise of spreading democracy. Even the controversial story of Raja Dahir's marriage to his sister, supposedly to counter a prophecy, is riddled with inconsistencies. Hindu doctrine strictly forbids such unions, making the claim questionable at best. Mubarak Ali and other scholars argue that this tale was fabricated to vilify Dahir and legitimize invasions. Similarly, the often-cited story of Sri Lankan women appealing to Hajjaj for rescue is implausible given the logistics of communication at the time. These narratives served as convenient justifications for an invasion driven primarily by economic and strategic interests, not moral or religious concerns. The romanticization of such historical events continues to distort public perception. True credit for the spread of Islam in the region belongs not to conquerors, but to the peaceful efforts of preachers and scholars who shared the faith's teachings. Muhammad bin Qasim's legacy, while significant, remains a complex interplay of conquest, political ambition, and the narratives crafted by historians to serve the agendas of their time. We hope you found this exploration of history both insightful and thought-provoking. Your thoughts and opinions matter to us, so don't forget to share your feedback in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Speaking History, to support us in bringing more captivating stories from the past. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.